Hola, people.
Hello.
All right, we are going to attempt to do this show again. The last time and that's why we changed the title of the show as well. The last time that we tried to do this show, we called it Insights on Castings, and it fucked up so badly. It just kept freezing, we dropped, and it was a nightmare.
It really was. And then I was all by myself towards the end. It was like, oh my God.
It was just a hot mess, and that's an understatement. So we decided to call this show Tarot Before Witchery because I think the old name had bad juju on it, and it was meant to be shifted a little bit. So tonight we are going to be talking about utilizing like the cards in discerning, before you cast, before you do a working, utilizing your tarot decks, your oracle cards, to check in on how your working is progressing, or if you should attempt the working, and just checking in for everything, making sure that you have the best experience, the best outcome, best results possible. And not a lot of people, it seems, know to do that. A lot of people who work conjure do it, like they do it like naturally, and it's great, it's necessary, and it's it's something that we all should do. Any practitioner who is doing their craft should constantly and consistently seek any divination method. Obviously tonight we are talking about the cards, so use what is best for you, but you definitely want to, before you decide to do a casting, before you decide to do a working, you want to consult the deck.
Yes, you do. I mean, to me, and maybe it's because I discovered tarot before I really discovered any solid information on witchcraft. But for me, it was just a very natural thing to do. I mean, I was already consulting the tarot and all these different aspects of my life. I was just like, oh, well, spell work, it's totally going to work there too, I do find it interesting, though, that certain, like, for healing work, I like to use oracle decks more than I do tarot decks.
Mm-hmm.
To consult. And any kind of like, if I'm casting to improve or remove blockages as far as like psychically, improve my psychic awareness, doing work on myself, I like to use oracle cards for that. And then everything else I use tarot cards. And I don't know why, that's just the way. I mean, there's really no rhyme or reason other than I feel like oracle cards relate a little bit better to healing work and psychic awareness, psychic development. And tarot cards to me are more, I don't know, down and dirty, more again, this is more earth energy, where air, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because, well, and I guess it just depends on the oracle deck, but with tarot you have more imagery. Usually you have more information in each card, and so when you're doing like a casting and you're doing something that requires you to like really cover as much basically can, like just cover every aspect, tarot works perfect because it just keeps talking. It has so much to offer, and it takes into consideration every aspect that you're considering. Whereas, not saying that the oracle does not, but the oracle cards express that in a certain way, and they're usually very distinct, and they're usually very not limited, but they choose to be limited on how they express certain information, because they usually require the reader to travel and to psychically channel or to use your intuition to pull that information. Whereas when you're using the tarot, you can definitely, and you do definitely utilize those aspects, but it's more, I guess, more physical, more grounded, more down to earth, where it works within this realm, like easier. Or that's kind of like where, we're working, because a lot of the times we work with the tarots because we want to know something that's going to happen in our everyday life. Is this person going to break up with this person? Do I have a chance with this person? How's my money doing? You have all of that. So I definitely understand what you're saying about utilizing the tarot and the oracle cards in different ways for different purposes.
And a lot of times it's just instinctual, especially for me. But then I tend to, that's like all my magic is that way. It's the way, whatever, comes to mind first, whatever my gut is telling me. And even depending on the deck, I will, which to me, that's every tarot. I think every tarot reader feels that way. There's certain people, when you read for, you always grab that one deck. For that one repeat customer or whatever, that's the deck you always use because it resonates with them so well. And so in certain workings, certain decks resonate a lot better than others. I know a lot of my prosperity work, I really like using Rider-Waite.
Yeah.
It's like that deck practically jumps in my hand.
Right.
That kind of working. So especially and not just to use the tarot cards in the working, but like to check on the workings, because I don't always use tarot cards in the workings necessarily. Sometimes they pretty much are screaming, use me, okay. Yeah. But other times, I just enjoy, up to me, I get a better understanding of where that spell is going with the Rider-Waite deck, and if I'm doing a prosperity spell, then say using something like the Dreamscapes, Shadowscapes deck. Shadowscapes deck. That this deck I like using more in love. I like to use it to find out if this certain love spell that I've cast is working, or lust, or sex, or relationship. For some reason, any kind of emotional. It's a very emotional deck.
Right.
I like using it to check on that kind of spell work. It just speaks more to the emotions to me.
Right, and I think that, I think we all, like every deck, I think we all can understand, like, just with imagery and stuff, it has a specific energy that it calls forth from you, and that it emits. But I believe, like, if you don't have all these decks, you don't need them. The Rider-Waite deck, the Waite-Smith deck, is, for me, universal in Witchery, so you can use that deck and heal. Not that you can't use other decks in healing, but that deck is perfect for anything.
It really is. It really is. You can use it for every, to check on every kind of spell work, because it is like the epitome of tarot cards. It is the first. There might have been some that came before it, but that was the first universally recognized tarot deck. And there is a lot of power with that.
Right. And it's so simple, and it's easy to acquire. And not to say that other decks can't be utilized for everything, but when you build a relationship with decks, they have their own feel, and so like attracts like and stuff, and resonance. And so when you are doing like a lust working, or a love formulation, or something, you want to check on an ingredient, or you want to check on way something's worded, or how the spell's going to go, and let's say you have tarot sexual magic, which I have back there somewhere, that would be perfect for that. If you have the Ludi Lescott deck, this deck is wonderful for that. This deck is wonderful for anything witchy.
It is.
It has that energy about it. So you have the option to do that. And before, I guess we should also discuss and talk about, what we do. So before before you do a casting, before you start, you cast your spell, you know what you're gonna do, but before you decide to actually execute it, what do you do when you consult the cards? Like, what are you looking for? What are you asking?
Well, anytime before I do a working, what the main things are, should I even do a working? That is like the first question, because a lot of times I know for me, I get very emotional about some things, and I'm not just talking about malediction either. Sometimes, you get really stressed out about money. Well, do I need to do working on money right now? Is this the time? Is it even necessary? Because when money is involved, emotions tend to run very, very high, and the very next day it can totally change.
Right.
So you may not even need to cast, because tomorrow things are going to be awesome. So that's the first question I ask is, do I need to do this working? And then the next question is usually, is there anything I need to add to this working? Because I already have an idea of what I'm going to do. What kind of spell I'm going to cast, the tools, materials, whatsoever, whatever that I'm going to use. So the next question is usually, what do I need to add anything? Mm-hmm. And then the next question is usually something along the lines of, how long, or like how long is it going to take? Is this going to come up really quickly? And do I need to be patient? And if I get the Hermit card, then I know I'm in for the long haul.
Right.
I'm really patient. So, it just varies. It varies really depending on the working, but those are the big three that are always consistent in the spread.
Right. And before I guess I go on as well, and if you want to be very simple, I think we discussed this when we fucked up our show last week or the week before that. But if you want to check in, a simple way to ask, is this going to work? Like, should I do this? Do a yes-no spread. The way I do yes-no, shuffle the deck, and I pay attention. I program that deck. I say, okay, upright represents yes. Reverse represents no. And that is the most simplistic. That's so basic. It is easy to program and do that. And so you shuffle the deck. Obviously, if you don't work with the reversals, you need to make sure to put some reverse cards in there.
Right.
And shuffle until you feel right. And then you lay 5 cards out, and the majority wins. So, and what I do is, if I have, let's say I have 3 yes and 2 no. I'm like, okay, that's a definite yes. If I have, but there might be, something going on. If I have, let's say, 4 yes, 1 no, I'm like, that's for sure gonna happen. There's not that much resistance. When you have two no's, there might be a little bit of resistance, and doing the yes no like that and understanding the resistance and the ease. If you have more resistance than nothing, then it's good to understand, because that will also help you ask the next questions. Like, okay, there's going to be some resistance here. Your next question is like, okay, so this is telling me yes, I should proceed. Okay, tell me about the resistance. Like, what am I not seeing that might need to be addressed before I cast, or what do I need to add to my casting in order to cover that in the process?
Right. And the beautiful thing about yes-no spreads is you can program your deck in any way you want as far as the yes-no goes. Like, I know people that do even cards, or, yes, odds, or no. And that way, even when if you flip over a major, it still applies. The only way it really doesn't apply is the court cards, but even then you can assign them numbers 11, 12, 13, 14 if you want.
Right.
To. So the way I like to do it, though, I like to get a little bit more specific than yes, no. Not a lot, though. And I do it as far as like the majors usually mean good luck, which can be sarcastic or in truth. It just depends on the card usually. Let's see. Swords are always no. Cups are yes, and it's going to flow easily. It's something that's going to be very easy to do. Let's see. Coins is a yes, but there might be a price. In other words, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of your time or, you know, something else. And you can get more specific on that by drawing, you know, clarifier cards to find out about what the price may be. And then wands is yes, but it may take a little time. You know, it may take, yeah, I think that's it. Yes, it may take a little time. So, or time will be a factor, I guess I should say. It could be fast, it could be slow. It just depends. And again, that's where you come in with the clarifying cards later on. So I like that. I like using that system because to me it's just a little bit more specific than just plain yes or no. But then there are times whenever I'm just like, I'm impatient and I just want yes, no, yes, no.
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to do that. You just need to check in because, again, when you're casting and you're investing a lot, you're investing your time, you're investing the spirit's time, you're investing whatever you're working with, you're investing that time, they're investing their time with you. You're also investing your money because if you're utilizing other products and stuff, that's money, and time is money as well. So you're investing a lot. So why wouldn't you want the best possibility, the best possible, you know, best option and stuff to get your results? Like, you know, why wouldn't you do everything you could to make sure that you get the best results possible? So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm obviously failing with my words tonight.
But that's so true. I mean, especially, you think about it, if you get something that involves some really expensive herbs or really expensive essential oils, which all of them are pretty pricey, there's not really any cheap ones. And if you're buying cheap ones, you might want to check into that because they might not be essential oils. But that can be seriously a lot of money, and that's something I would really, especially if you're doing a prosperity spell, man, that would really blow.
Right.
I mean, that's like double jeopardy or something.
Right.
So I want to know that what I'm about to do is going to be worth all that. Not that I don't love casting, because I do. I mean, that is a part of who I am. But I definitely want to be putting my energy towards something that I need to do, you know, and it could be something as simple, if you get a no, as you need to come at it from a different perspective. You know, if you're casting because you want to make sure that you need to do this road opener spell, and you're looking to bring in with a road opener, and it gives you a no, it could, you know, try casting to see if you need, or not casting, but, you know, asking the cards to see if you need to do a road opener spell, but banishing obstacles. You know, it could be different. I mean, especially depending on so many astrological things and everything else. Instead of bringing stuff to you, you need to be more concentrated on getting stuff out of your way.
Right. And yeah, and we've kind of talked about this before, but when you are checking in, like not checking in, but when you are laying the foundation for your cards and trying to understand, like, if you should or you shouldn't, you get the yes or the no. You still ask questions. Even when you get a no, that doesn't mean your cards stop. That means you need to ask more questions and say, okay, well, why not? Do I need what do I need to do instead? Because obviously you want to cast for a reason. You have a situation that you need to cast for. There's something going on. So the cards are saying no, not for this, not for the way you worded it, not for the way you expressed it. So you have to find out the why, find that challenge out, and then create the, reword and the way, change the casting and figure out the best way to achieve the solution to your problem.
Right.
And when laying out the cards, like before you cast, and it doesn't have to be super complex. It can be very simple. If you have the 5 card spread, you have the majority. Let's say you have two water cards. You have let's say a fire card at the center, and then you have 2 earth cards. That could be very interesting.
Yes, it could.
That could go like so many different ways, but if you just think about a lot of water, a little bit of fire, and a lot of earth, that's just like a mess.
Mm-hmm.
That has a possibility of being just fucking messy. Like you could create like mud and just like not a good situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had like a fire card, and then maybe some earth, and then maybe some water, and then maybe an air card, that might produce growth. That might be a little more accepting, and that might make you think like, okay, we got this, and we can do something here. But if it was how I just expressed it with too much water and ending in earth, that would give you an indication as to what you need to look at when you're casting. So you need to make sure you have everything in alignment and in balance. So you don't want to have all this water. So you need to figure out, okay, there's too much, water quality in the working. How do I take that out? Does that mean I need to cast under a different moon phase? Does that mean I need to make sure I bring a certain type of crystal here? It's super easy. You just have to start thinking in that way.
Yeah, exactly. And it might mean that you need to think outside the box a little bit. I personally don't like to just settle for no when it's something I feel like very strongly about doing. So I'm going to make sure that I have explored every avenue. And if it's still no, then I'm like, okay, I get it. Not right now. And usually that means my issue will be resolved the very next day.
Right.
There's not even really a point to casting. I would just be wasting my energy for something that's already coming to me.
Right.
So that's important to me.
It is. You are able to ask questions. If you have anything, you want clarity on anything we express, if you want to share anything, feel free to do that. You are more than welcome. We are here to be of service, and we're here to talk tarot. So again, if you have questions, ask them, and we are here to do what we do. Laying down the foundation before you do a casting, before you do working, before you do healing, anything like that, it's super vital, and it has the ability to prevent mistakes. It has the ability to prevent fuck-ups. It has the ability to prevent harm. And I'm not talking about harming nobody, but I'm just saying when you cast, you influence things, and you influence the energy around you. And yeah, we're going to be like one of those dangerous shit. But when you cast, and if you are casting with other people in the home, and they are non-magical, and they are not protected, or even if they are protected by what you set up, you are still creating influence. You are still putting energy out there. You're still bringing that in. So using using the cards to check in to see if anything might happen, if how safe is everyone, and what the best results. That's important, because you don't want to bring unnecessary drama and bullshit down on your environment when other people aren't choosing that for themselves.
Right.
So it's very smart. It's a smart witch thing to do when you use your cards to check in on everything before you cast. which kind of leads us into the next stage of casting, because now you've checked in, you've gotten the yay, you've gotten the good signs, and now you're casting. You've done your casting, and it's been a little while, and you don't have the results you want. You're getting impatient. So now you have the opportunity to check in.
Yes. And there is a lot of stigma around spell work and what to do after you finish casting your spell. So as much as I respect anybody's opinion on this, personally, I do not think that it is, going to result in any kind of negative consequence if you check on your spell. I know a lot of people believe that you should forget about it and go on, and that's all. Don't talk about it. Don't even think about it. And that's cool if that's the way you believe. I personally do not. That has never affected my spell work, ever. So after I cast a spell, regardless of whether I feel like it's going well or not, because, sometimes you can cast and automatically know. Like, okay, I really have this awesome feeling about this. And then sometimes you cast is like, I don't know if I like this feeling. I don't know if I think I don't know if this is gonna work. Either way, usually if not the next day, then the next evening, I'll throw down some cards and just to see, hey, how did that go? Did that do what I wanted it to do? Right. Is there anything blocking or obstructing the end result that I want, the magic itself? Is there anything I could be doing now in addition to what I just did to help it either speed it along, or if it's kind of on the wrong track, to put it all on the right track and things like that. And I just, figure out what those cards are saying to me, and if I need more clarification, I get more clarification. And honestly, anytime I'm doing this, it's not necessarily a spread. It's more like I'm shuffling the cards with a specific question in mind and pulling a card. And then if I need clarification, I'll which a lot of times you do, especially with one card, but sometimes you don't. So then if I need clarification, I'll pull a couple more. And if then I feel I need even more clarification, I might pull another. So, and then I put them back in the deck, shuffle, and ask another question. And that's usually how I go about it. To me, it's the easiest way, because you tend to have a lot of questions after you cast a spell, depending on how you feel.
Well, yeah. And when you cast, and depending on how much time you allow to for your working to breathe and expand and do its thing, you will have different signs that tell you yay or nay, and each sign will bring questions. So it's definitely good to honor that. And I'm also the same way. Like I'll check in with my working. I have no issues with it. It does not weaken the working at all, because sometimes, and again, everything is energy. So when you are casting and you are sending things through energy and spirit, there's blockages, if depending on what you're trying to influence, depending on what you're trying to achieve, if you're targeting someone, there's so many different things to consider. And even though you did the foundation, you did the pre-work, that doesn't mean things don't change. So when you put something into motion, that creates more change. And now that they try to attach or adhere to wherever they're supposed to go, that again creates change. And depending on if it's a body, if it's a situation, whatever, that individual, that situation, that will start to react differently to your working. And so again, I know I keep saying that, but it'll create different, and it will change like different patterns. So it's good to check in and lay out the cards and ask your questions, because if something happened, if there's like if your spell is meeting a lot of resistance, then you need to know that so you can figure out how to remove that obstacle so it shoots through and it gets to where it needs to be. Because and that's usually, that really is usually why spells don't work, and why people just forget about their shit and don't even give it time to work, because they're lazy and they don't want to check in, and they're not taught to check in. So they don't know that they can or how to. So they don't know they can use their divination system and see how the energy's moving and where it's going, and if it's on track, and if it's just right around the corner, or if you just need to get some cayenne pepper and speed that shit up. So that is definitely why a lot of working is just they just end up losing energy, and it's done, because our workings are an extension of ourselves and extensions of what we create. So if you already are that type of person who is so ready to give up, your casting is going to be pretty much in alignment and resonating with that type of energy. So I lay the cards down, and I will see, like, is there a blockage? Or I'll ask, why hasn't my shit gotten here yet? Why am I not seeing, like, great results? What's going on? What is hindering this? What can I do to make sure that this is done? Do I need to cast again? Do I need to add something to this current working? And if you want to add something to the current working, you could add another candle, like another candle that expresses the type of energy that you need to add to the current working to, like, make it just shoot through and boom, get there. So it really is, and it's funny because a lot of this is happening. A lot of things are simply about clear communication.
And that's so true. I mean, you have to think about it, or at least, I guess you don't have to, but I like to think about it as a relationship with myself and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be spirit energy or, herb energy, oils, crystals, candles, elements, whatever it is a relationship that I have between myself and those energies, because I want to change my world. I want to change the way things are going. So when you think about that, any kind of relationship you have to have a very clear, very, very clear communication, especially when you're dealing with someone who may or may, who may not speak your exact language.
Okay, so for some reason it's not showing up here, but it's on the page. Okay. Travis. Pagan Scholar, which maybe I'll put a link to his channel under ours, the description. It sounds really silly, but when I shuffle cards, I feel like if I even split the deck and see the bottom cards about to be shuffled, I alter the probability of potential cards or ideas that I wouldn't have considered before, since I know they will end up at the bottom of that deck. Sort of like if I were to use Tarot for X situation and see that the Empress is at the bottom of the deck, I then think to myself that Empress energy will not be part of the equation, and then I shuffle 8 more times just in case Empress energy should be in the reading or casting. I totally get that.
I do too.
I used to do that. Like, I would freak out. Like, I would shuffle. I'm like, oh fuck! I just saw the card. I can't. Nope. I have to redo this whole thing, because then, like, when I like exactly what he said, I saw the card. So now I'm thinking, what other cards were next to that card? They're on the bottom. They're not going to come up. Oh no! So I know that. Like, I think the same thing. So I do my best when I shuffle. I'll usually close my eyes and just, like, let it go and just focus on shuffling. Or if I see the cards, I'm just like, it's just not meant to, like, those cards, if they're meant to be in the reading, if they're meant to be up above, they will be there. And I have to like shut myself off from like going down that like crazy process for me of what that like expresses. And I've done that quite a bit.
Definitely.
But it's fun. Like the cards are fun and casting is fun, and who doesn't want great results? Who doesn't want to make sure their shit is gonna work? Everyone wants their shit to work all the time. So that is why we utilize our cards. That is why we check in, and that is why we make sure we give ourselves the best chance to create. That is why we give our working the best chance it has, and that is why we check in with the workings. Mm-hmm. And also, again, depending on what y'all are doing, because I don't judge. You can, freaking manipulate people's minds and shit. Whatever, it's fine. That's on you. But if you are casting and trying to influence other people, then you need to be. This is where it gets tricky. You have to like use your cards and check in on them. Not just the casting, but you have to check in on them and how your cards are influencing them. So be mindful of that. It's interesting and it can get really crazy, but you don't want to make it like overwhelming where you're checking in on every fucking person and too much. But
oh yeah,
the signs that you get when you cast and the signs that you get that follow, they will be very clear, and you will know who you need to check in with, what you need to check in with, and all that shit.
Exactly.
I do too. I'm like, just shuffle, don't look, and but then you're like, I want to look, I have to look, I'm gonna see something. No, the struggle is real, my people.
It is. But yeah, so yeah, I love using divination to make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing. Now, there are times whenever I have thrown cards down and throw cards down and throw cards down, and then at the end, I feel like the spell didn't work. And then I'm usually irritated. And so once, like, especially if you have a certain time frame in mind, which let's face it, we all do. I mean, whenever you cast, you don't want to take a month. You have an idea of, basically for me, it's as soon as freaking possible. That's always a thing. So, when that happens, of course, at the end, I cast again. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And a lot of times, what the hell happened is I didn't set ego aside and read the cards the way I wanted them to read. And it's all on me. 9 times out of 10. So, and when that happens, I cast to find out what I could have done differently. And things like that. So that is really important to do. And when it's a successful spell, I still throw down cards to find out how long is it going to last, or is this something, especially if it's like a prosperity spell, is this something that I need to keep in the rotation? Because you'll have those spells that work really well, and sometimes you're like, okay, well, I'm going to use this again for sure because this kicked ass.
Right.
So I ask questions like that. What do I need to do to keep this momentum going?
Right.
Because you can keep a spell going for a while if you know what you're doing and if you ask the right questions to find out how to do that. So, and just keep those energies coming. So, yeah, that is what my routine whenever I do any spell work. And obviously, we're talking about like a decent sized spell, not lighting a candle for someone because they need healing energy. Not that. This is like
No, no.
just to make
Like,
that clear.
yeah, it's something that's going to require a process. You know, it's going to take some time to build that energy, and then it's not something simple where you're going to have like instant result, or you're going to, you have that feedback. No, it's going to be something that again requires some time to create that energy, and for that energy to take a root here and to bring the results to you.
Right. And there was what that made me think of that was the fact that last night, a friend of mine had a family member get sick, and she was like, because I know nothing about that family member, she was like, just, can you do something, some kind of healing vibes and stuff? And that's just so simple, basic, tea light candle, especially when you don't know. I know.
The movement of
especially when you don't know the person. Yeah, I'm not going to draw any kind or throw down any cards for that. So that would be just.
I don't know you. You're not getting my cards, please.
Right.
But I
will totally send healing vibes to you, yes, and I would totally do that. But I'm not going to cast for that. It's too simple.
No, yeah.
The tarot deck would revolt.
Yeah, the tarot deck would be like,
yeah, exactly.
Please try again. So again, when you're doing a casting, do the foundation, do the pre-work, look into things, then let it have a breather and pay attention to the signs, and then check in with your divination system. Who doesn't love hands?
We do have our hands.
Let's see. Do you think certain decks influence how we interpret our rituals? If we have a super happy deck with a million fairies, hey, fairies and elves aren't always happy. That interpretation might be different from a gothic deck, or should we stick to traditional tarot interpretations? I say, of course, your decks are going to have different energies, so they do express their own filter. What needs to be known will be known for sure, but if there is a reason you picked that deck, then obviously that energy was needed for when you check into it. And sometimes you need that, very raw and primal energy, that very sexual energy, or that freeing, that liberating energy from a certain deck to check into something, because it's going to stimulate you in a different way than maybe what Melissa has right now.
Yes, because to me, this is something that's way more creative. It's more fantastical, so that's going to influence you in a very creative, more of a kind of bright, happy way.
Right.
I will say some of these cards are a little on the dark side, but not bad. Not like.
See?
Yeah. See, that's I love that. That's awesome. Like star power.
Right. And I think also when you automatically, I don't know about y'all, but this is how it works for me. When I am using a deck, if I'm gonna check in or anything, I get told, I feel this pull to a certain deck to utilize. And so when that happens, when let's say this deck comes forth and it's really happy. The energy, the coloring is super happy. It might be there to express that energy for the check-in, but more so, maybe I'm feeling down about the spell work. Maybe I'm feeling like a shitty witch because it's taking forever to work. So that energy from that deck needs to be present to kind of uplift my own spirits and my own mentality, to shift my thought process, and to see the working in a different way. And so when I lay those cards down, it's already making me feel all happy, surrounding myself with this fucking hippie deck. But then I lay the cards down and I get the message. The message will come across any deck, whatever message you need, it will be there. And so it kind of, you know, addresses everything that needs to be addressed. It helps the practitioner and the witch to be uplifted and to understand that, okay, I was, you know, being a little too harsh on myself, and now I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing what needs to be done. Lay the cards out. Oh, actually, my working's pretty good. It's on the right track. It just actually takes a little longer. It's taking a little longer because of this. I'm cool. We're good. Took my my tarot Xanax, and we're good.
Exactly. And you know, I've also found that the more simplistic decks, like the Raven's Prophecy, if that's the one that I'm really drawn to, I tend to go lean towards a simpler spell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that does tend to that energy tends to transfer. You know, if especially if that is one of the decks that's just screaming at me, "Hey, use me, use me! You really need to use me." And so I tend to have a lot simpler spells that tend to, and they not to say that they're any weaker or stronger than any other, but that I've just noticed that, like with this Shadowscapes deck, it is a very complex tarot deck. You know, there is a ton of stuff going on, and I found that my spells do tend to be a little bit more layered, if you will.
And that's absolutely true. You know, Pagan Scholar expresses like awesome. And now that I think about it, if I wanted to do a somber ritual, I wouldn't use a fluffy deck. Likewise, if I wanted a feel-good spell, I wouldn't use a dark theme deck. Unless you feel good.
Oh, no. Oh, please tell me you're not doing this time again. Okay, so, oh, well, no, maybe it's me. I can't tell. Okay, so I guess Michael is frozen, and he hopefully will be right back. Oh, look, there he is.
Damn it.
I was like, sitting here like, oh no, on my phone, messaging Michael, did you freeze?
I feel like a dumbass because like, I'm like, did I freeze? I'm having a whole conversation with y'all, like running my mouth, and then I see your little head like, fuck, it froze. I froze. I just had some, and I had like gems. I had shit to offer, and now I just went away, right?
You're always leaving me all alone.
Oh, what the hell? Oh, no.
Thank you guys for letting us know. Dad's like, I can hear you. I'm like, thank you.
Okay,
It's so hard to tell who is frozen and who is not. And it's just like a guessing game. I'm just like, let me bust out the phone and find out.
But yeah, so and that's why when I'm not like, obviously I enjoy my decks of cards, but I utilize every deck that I have. I work with their energies. I work with what they influence. I use them in spell work. I use them in meditation. I use them in healing because each deck is slightly different. I take advantage of that. Did I freeze?
You did a little bit. You did the whole Max Headroom thing where it's like, you know. Just a little this time though. Just a little.
Mother of pearl.
I know. It's like, I almost feel like, okay, maybe we should hurry up here.
Yeah, if y'all have any more questions, feel free to ask the questions. Other than that, we are going to start to, close up. But if you have questions, we will definitely do our best to answer. Again, if you have any suggestions on any type of tarot show that you would like us to discuss, feel free to comment on the YouTube video and let us know, because we love the cards and we love discussing the cards and we love having fun with the cards. It's just super duper fun. You want to know something really?
Again.
Before I freeze again, you must see this card. Children are freaking weird, man.
Yeah. That is like one of the creepier cards in this deck. And you know, there's some that should be way creepier. But
right.
That one is super creepy to me. I'm just like, ew.
I know.
And I'm a mom. I love my child anyway.
And if that's like if this came up and me checking in on working, I'm like, ooh, that gives me the creeps. So like it turns me off. So I'm like, I would interpret the energy like, oh, maybe not. So let's like go back and keep that shit away from me, because that's probably, that kid was buried in the cemetery. Like, you know how they have pet cemetery? No, like it's not supposed to come.
That's exactly how I would feel. It's just the creepiest
and
little
look at his feet. They're not even child feet. I
know. And you know what's to me the creepiest thing is the damn chicken tied to him.
I know.
It's so damn weird.
That is disturbing as fuck.
It is. It is very disturbing.
I can't handle it. Just can't. It's staring at me and it won't stop.
Yeah. And he's just like calmly playing this flute. And you know, the hands too. The hands are not children hands.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
It's disturbing me. I'm disturbed. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I know I'm going to give it a few more. You heard that little like ramble of nonsense.
I know.
I know.
Us, though. If we didn't do that, they would think something was wrong.
It takes a little bit for the questions to transfer over here, so definitely giving you guys some time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we shall be closing up soon. But I hope that we made sense. I hope that what we expressed was something that you're able to take and expand upon yourself and start playing with. If you don't utilize the tarot before you cast or before you do anything, like major decisions, it's just really good to start working with the cards when you want to be on top of life and you want to get the best results. It's important, and why not use it when we have that tool? Why not use something that is available to us? That I don't get why people don't do that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't either. And a lot of times I really do think that it's just because it's not something that's really taught. I know in a lot of the witchcraft books that I have and that I've read, it's really, unless it's a book about tarot specifically, it is very rarely ever mentioned.
And honestly, to me, it's you find it again, like we said earlier, is like you find it more in conjure, root work, and stuff like that. Which it's a damn shame that more witches, not saying that people who do root work and conjure aren't also witches, but when we take the conjure stuff away, actual, the fuck, what I'm trying to say. It's a shame that we don't implement it and utilize that more often, because there is so much that we can learn from that and be blessed for that knowledge. Like it's important.
It really is. And even in conjure, a lot of it, the divination is it's not necessarily tarot. It's very different. It's usually like, yes.
That I know people who utilize the bones,
the Bible itself, like the whole, drop it or what is it? You just like it opens, open to a page and pointing to the word or the phrase or whatever.
Yeah.
The Bible's used a lot as well. So
the Bible to kill spiders. Yeah, I've used the Bible actually a lot in to check on things and to get ideas for spell working and stuff just by flipping it open, flipping my question, and boom, what is that? Ooh, this is evil. Okay, I can do that. But yeah, yeah. So there's a lot we can learn from that. Again, one last time, if y'all have any questions, we will answer. If not, we're gonna go peace. And
it forces us to.
Right. I'm so surprised. Like now that we have nothing to say, like not that we don't have anything to say, but now that we're just kind of talking shit, it's super fluid and it's fine. You know? Why does that happen? I don't like that.
Like damn technology. I don't know. It's been fucking up around me all week, so I have no idea.
But yeah, it is a fun topic to address, and make sure y'all, if you're not implementing it, do it now. Do it.
Yes, and then let us know. Let us know how it affects your spell work, and if you see a notable improvement, or if you just like, nah, this is not for me. Let us know. We would love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Okay, so I didn't see any questions, and if there are, we can always answer them later. And now, like, so many people viewing though that we've finished. But again, in the comment section on the YouTube video, if you have any suggestions where you want us to answer anything you have to ask, or if you want us to have a show on a specific topic, a specific deck, let us know. We like talking. Apparently, we love talking. So
we do.
Until next time, we shall see you all around. Peace.
Down.